welcome to the Healthy Minute. I'm Omer, VP Marketing here at Healthy. I have a great pleasure to host here today Dan Thompson, Chief Benefits Officer at Venture. It's great to have you here, and we just signed a huge partnership between Healthy and Venture, which is obviously both of us really thrilled to introduce it to the market and bring innovation together with the biggest market share that Venture takes in the PEO industry, and see how we can join forces and introduce better benefits experience to the market and innovation. But let's just take one step backwards and tell me a little bit about your career flow. How did your career start and how you found yourself in the PEO space?
That could be a very long answer, but I'll do my best. Late 90s, early 2000s, I really was in the desired mode to look for an outside sales role. I didn't really know, I think early 20-something-year-old guy, right? And I went into work for Paychex. So I was in Rochester, had my training, sold outside sales for Paychex and did really well. But I really wanted to go after working in the pharmaceutical space. So ironically, as a little kid growing up in Maryland, I worked in independent pharmacies. Came from a family, didn't have anything. Dad was construction, mom stayed home. So I knew I needed to go out and work and do something. So I worked in an independent pharmacy, but I always saw the drug reps coming in, and I wanted to be like one of those guys, right? They had cool cars, sharp suits, and they came in and they talked about pharmaceuticals, and boy, could they talk.
I didn't expect that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, so I ended up, going from Paychex into pharmaceutical sales. But unfortunately, what I learned in pharmaceutical sales is that really the deck was stacked against the patient even then, right? I was taught to go make doctors obsessed with writing drugs that people didn't really need. And when you have heart and you do things for the right reason, it hurts. Right. So I had to get the heck out of that. I didn't know anything other than payroll. So ironically, I went to Big Red. I worked for ADP after that for a few years, President's Club, until finally I realized that my heart and my space was really in belonging in healthcare. So I ended up working for an independent insurance agency that over 13 years ended up being one of the majority partners. Ended up selling that and then starting another one, and did the same success with that in the employee benefits space for years. And then, quickly found my way into working with great payroll companies like Venture, and eventually saw the desire that Alex Campos, our CEO, and Phil Urso, our Chief Sales Officer, had to just grow aggressively and buy and acquire and fix an industry that was very broken and consolidate the industry. And it's just been a rocket ship of 3.5 years. Total ecosystem is north of 50,000 employers. When you look at the whole total ecosystem, there's millions of people and the largest independent PEO. So I have the privilege now of serving as Venture's Chief Benefits Officer, but I also brought over my third insurance agency career to Venture. And I still own and operate Thompson Risk, which is an independent benefits practicing firm with over 5,000 clients, both independent clients, small or large, and also PEO master clients. So all 60 PEOs, we have all the master plans and consolidated, and we're just tearing it up.
Yep.
So with the addition of with Prism, we're very sensitive, obviously, about the difference between the Venture direct customers and the indirect customers of Prism. But our brokerage, which is very independent from Venture, can also provide consulting services to a lot of those PEOs that can't compete. So we're helping a lot of those PEOs, compete in a very difficult space where small, medium-sized PEOs are looking for solutions to help them elevate when they're competing against the ADPs and the Paychexes of the world. So it's very exciting, and every day is a new adventure.
Indeed, and actually to hear about your journey, it's fascinating and absolutely resonating with me, because I've also developed a career in the health tech industry. So very early in shaping my career path, I realized that I want to work for impact companies that do good, right? Companies that use technology and use innovation just to improve people's lives. And I definitely hear you when you say how you found your way to this space. So it's great. And with so many years of experience, what are the most recent or the current trends that you see on the market?
So it's important for people to really do research and study. And I spend a lot of time reading research. So the most probably valuable piece of information that I could give in our interview would be read the McKinsey study.
Okay.
Right? McKinsey puts out an employee benefits study every year, And their study that was released in October of 24 talked about really two things. One is that they estimate that 12 million Americans, which is 7% of the employee benefits industry, will move to a more innovative health plan design. So for venture, right, we're already 5 years ahead. You know,
Right.
3 years ago when I started on the venture, we started building our own plans. So we have our own health care plans that offer clients in addition to the traditional status quo master plans for major medical. Those are taking off like a rocket ship. All the competitors are trying to catch up now.
Yeah.
So they're behind, which is competitive advantage for us.
Of course.
The second part of the study says that member experience in employee benefits has to change. And with the advent of AI, ChatGPT, and the fact that, you know, paper applications for doing employee benefits is so 1996,
Right.
is so outdated, and antiquated enrollment systems that are disparate and don't talk to each other have bared a huge problem on the industry with regards to accuracy and billing. It's just everybody thinks of employee benefits. Most people, most C-levels, they're like, oh my God, let me just get through the tortuous process of enrollment,
Right.
decide my plan, and then the next part is always the broken part of how do people enroll and are people on the right plan? So,
Right.
and then of course you think about that lonely consumer who's the American that's paycheck to paycheck. Even if you tell them 65 times, they don't know the difference between a PPO or an
Of course
HMO
not.
or what a primary care physician or an internist is, or how to get an authorization. What's a pre-cert step therapy? No idea.
Right.
So when I saw Healthee and did the technology demo with Guy, with you and the team, I couldn't have been more impressed. And obviously our leadership team at Venture feels the same way, is that we just have to enact change and we just have to help people, you know, make that move. I think of benefits as evolving, not only from a regulatory standpoint, like 401k.
Right.
The regulators in ERISA have moved 401k compliance and regulatory viewpoint over and dropped it on employee benefits, right? So you talk about discrimination testing and highly compensated employee rules and implications. Well, when you look at things like, you know, an employee who's trying to pick a mixture of mutual funds, 95% of people have the do-it-for-me approach. They're not a stockbroker. They don't understand. So we need that approach invented and dropped on employee benefits.
Right.
And I believe, I'm very committed, that Healthee's technology can actually help someone using the AI deliver to them what they should be purchasing, and simply click that button and then it drops into our systems. So it can really, I think, create more adoption, more proper matching of benefits to a person's personal needs
Right.
than you could ever expect to get from someone filling out a paper or having to use a benefit guide and then remember what to pick, and they don't even know the difference between the basic things. So, you know, I think this is a paradigm shift that's needed in a very big industry.
And simply, I would say to turn them into, you know, smarter consumers, right? I think this is what our members expect. We become smarter and I would say more informed consumers in everything that we do, right? We have the Amazon experience, we have the Uber experience. How come that when it comes to healthcare or to health benefits, you need to navigate in a blur, right? And I think that in a world of, you know, GPT that got into our lives and all the AI technologies around us, it's just, I would say, a demand or an expectation that we hear from employees and PEO members, you know, nationwide, that this is what they expect. This is the experience that they deserve.
Look, I think Venture and our leaders think of Healthee very simply. It's not an opt-in or opt-out. It's a necessity. It becomes part of the culture of doing business with Venture. So we don't want an employee in a particular client to have an opaque, difficult perception around the experience of benefits. We think that the outcome here is going to be legendary in terms of employees having a better experience and actually liking the benefits that they're on. In fact, you know, what I often say a lot in healthcare, and we have a lot of still fully insured clients that use master plans, but we have independent clients that are with us with payroll only who have their own benefits, and we're in the position of the advisor. Those could be fully insured, they could be level funded, or they could be self-funded. So in self-funded, you can control the destiny a little bit more.
Right.
And we get into more complicated things with clients these days about how a PPO network is not a guarantee of quality. That's a big statement.
Right.
I'll say that again. How a PPO network is not a guarantee of quality. And a lot of people, when I say that, they think I'm speaking Neptune or something, right?
Right.
They're like, well, what do you mean? I thought that a PPO network is good. I get to search the directory for doctors. Wouldn't the carriers and the establishment make sure that those are good doctors? And if you ask ChatGPT, is a PPO network a guarantee of quality? Maybe those that are watching will do that. I'd love to hear what they're seeing because it's quite eye-opening.
I totally agree with you. And by the way, I just want to circle back to the McKinsey research that you have mentioned. I have another question for you, more at I would say the PEO space. So tell me one thing that people don't know about PEOs or people don't understand about PEOs.
PEOs really focus on small businesses, right? A business that doesn't have back office HR. They don't have a big complicated back office CFO, right? These are small businesses. So businesses that are primarily the average size client that's going to look for the services of a PEO, where we're offering a holistic service that handles everything from benefits to 401k to workers' comp to administration to compliance to HR. The whole soup to nuts is about a 26, 28 employee size client. And what happens is over time, as that client may evolve, right, they expand, their interest in needing more complicated consulting and advisory services also expands. So we have a very precision approach to make sure that when that client hits 50 or 75, are they ready to move into maybe a little bit more advanced approach to healthcare? Are they ready to move into a more approach where they can control costs of healthcare? You can't do that when you're small and the owner is the one that's washing the bottles and serving the entrees and also taking the trash out, right? He's just trying to run his business and manage a margin. That's why he needs a PEO. But as that business becomes a multi-unit owner and maybe a multi-state multi-unit owner, now he's got a big C-level team, and now they're ready to dig in and see if that they could look at maybe ways to take a little bit more risk or get into more of a level-funded or self-funded plan, but also keep the very attractive aspects of the outsourcing of the PEO and all the rest of it. So we have clients that I would describe as, pure PEO. That's great. That kind of is the beginning curve. They pay a little more, right? Because they're buying the fully outsourced PEO service, whether it's a Venture or an Insperity or an ADP or Sequoia, all great companies. They do the same thing. But where we take it to the next level is we stay on those clients like hawks to make sure that when they expand, if they're ready, we can offer other services so we don't lose them to, say, an external broker who knocks on the door and says, hey, there's cheaper options for you. And then that breaks the relationship with the client into an external advisor, and then us as the payroll. They're not talking, eligibility gets messed up, and it turns into a disaster. So for us, we're doing an amazing job, and I think our retention of our customers is getting better because the customers are getting deeper and they're getting more broad services that are more professionally catered to in white glove approach to what the client's needs are as they grow. And by the way, we're also built for contraction because sometimes companies grow, sometimes they grow and then they go, we need to course correct, and they get a little smaller. So they could go back to a full comprehensive PEO model, but the main impetus to it all is that we keep the customers.
So talking about the company's growth, and actually it lit up a question that I'm kind of trying to understand. So 5 years ago, I would say that the natural growth path for small businesses will be, they start and then they grow their revenue and then they grow with their headcounts and then they need to expand, with benefits and plans. And I'm curious to hear maybe if something has been changed since AI got into our lives with tech companies. So we see that tech companies that utilizes more and more AI, they might grow in revenue, but they don't necessarily grow with a headcount. So do you see these kind of trends with your companies and your workers?
So being transparent, and it's important, right? I read a lot about AI, and there's a lot of concern about the responsible use of AI. So of course that has to be said for, right? We want to make sure that as great as AI is to help the world become more efficient, more streamlined, we want to make sure that the world uses AI responsibly. That's pretty obvious, right? Then the second part is that when you use AI in an organization, much like every organization that I know is doing, who are getting deeper into how AI becomes a strategy, is what areas can you be more efficient? Is it operations? Is it marketing? Is it sales? Is it other administratively burdensome tasks in the Treasury Department or in billing and administration? And the answer, remarkably, as you do that very detailed exercise, is yes. So for us, it's not necessarily intentional to remove headcount. Maybe some companies would look at AI and go, hey, is this a way for us to sort of arbitrage and get rid of staff members, use more AI, and make more profits? Well, that's not really a positive objective, because people need to work, and we don't want to have people think that they're perceived to be replaced by robots or AI. But there are efficiencies. One example in healthcare for me would be physician diagnosing. That's a big one. I have this will be my third year being invited back to the Forbes Healthcare Summit here in New York City. And the first year the subject of AI came up, and the one of the largest electronic medical records companies in the world, the biggest one, had kind of dismissed AI. And there was kind of like a little joke about it. Well, maybe AI is a little bit more caring than doctors. And is it true that when you use AI, can AI diagnose a patient more accurately? And the big answer is yes. So the establishment of physicians and specialists is a little nervous about AI.
Right.
So now, the second year I went to the Forbes Healthcare Summit, AI was brought up again. And now the companies who the first year were kind of more resistant, now they're leaned in. And they're thinking like, how can AI be a competitive advantage for how they sell software, and how can AI more accurately and more precisely diagnose patients and manage disease? Because human physicians do make a lot of errors. It's just human nature. We're not perfect.
Right.
But AI can be more precise. However, of course, they can't replace a physician's human touch on a patient. But the physician could sure use a more accurate diagnostic or get the patient to a proper diagnosis or cure or treatment using AI. So I'm excited to see that, because that just means better outcomes for patients, and hopefully AI can help reduce the cost of healthcare.
I totally agree with you, and in that context, I want to quote something that Guy always says in interviews when he's been asked about AI. He always mentions that AI today is the worst it's going to ever be, right? Because it's going to get better and better every single day. We see, across the board, new tools, new AI tools that are being launched to the market, new advancement, the way that we can improve the experience in everything that we do. In most cases, when we look at it, we see that AI is involved. So it's just getting better, and people need to find a way to embrace it more, I would say, straightforward, not to be afraid of AI, but the opposite, just to embrace it and see how they can do good with AI.
I love that with Healthee, because as I've seen the demos, and I hope many more people in this industry will see it, especially after Venture pressing the big green button and putting it in and impacting the lives positively of hundreds of thousands of people and their families. But just the simple notion of asking the AI character Zoe, right? Asking Zoe, can you provide me my ID card, right? I mean, how many people just simply lost their ID card or have their ID card? So that's one simple mechanism. And those HR people who are in very difficult roles dealing with human capital and moving people around should be able to be spending their time more efficiently in other areas versus like chasing a ID card for someone. Or better yet, I love that Healthee has invested its time to connect with every health insurance carrier, so that you have accumulators. So how great is it, Zoe, what's my deductible year to date? Or better yet, if I have some sort of a pain, or if I have a diagnosis, or I need something, I can ask Zoe, and she brings up this beautiful graphic of, here's what specialists are available to you, here's how your deductible is handled in that, here's what your copay is. Like, remarkable delivery and efficiency. And
you don't need to call to a call center. You don't need to share this, I would say, medical condition with your employer, which is a whole different world. People don't want to share their health condition with their employer, right? If I'm planning to start a family next year with my partner, I don't want to share this information with my employer. If I'm having an anxiety attack, I don't want to call to HR and say, hey, am I covered for mental health? It doesn't make any sense. And this way, I think that people don't take care of their health, and they become less healthy employees. And I think this is exactly where AI comes in, or where Healthee comes in, and can turn this experience to be way more accessible to everyone.
It is, and I think too, one other critically important piece, goes back to this idea that PPO networks are not guarantees of quality.
True.
Look, Venture works with 67 health insurance carriers, right? We have business with all of them, every state, even global now, right? So Venture operates and handles payroll in over 180 countries, and we're working through those countries and actually starting to do global benefits. So, with the teams that we've built to start understanding the global implications of benefits, which is amazing, right? Mind-blowing every day when I see that. The domestic problem that we're solving right now with Healthee is going to fix this broken healthcare system where there's great aspects that some of the basics are, the ID cards, the accumulators, great. But as I'm working closer with you and the team and Guy at Healthee, right, one of the things that a lot of people don't know is we actually create products. And that's one of my most favorite things that I get the opportunity to do is create products in the healthcare space that work for people around the constraints and the obstacles created by the status quo nature of pure health insurance. It's been around for over 100 years, since the 20s, really after World War II is when it was created. But if we could build and craft better ways to advise people, say for instance, look at membership-based medicine, look at finding products that help people in terms of higher quality specialty networks. So, let's say, our audience would probably think of this as very blue sky, but it's going to happen. If you have the ability within a PPO network and you say to Zoe, hey Zoe, I'm going to need a knee surgery.
Yeah.
My doctor says I have end-stage degenerative knee disorder, right? That's probably a little complicated for the basic person, but somebody says, hey, I need a knee surgery. And Zoe can look within the network, the PPO network that they have, whether it's whatever carrier, but Zoe has the ability, using data for things like reinfection, readmissions, board certifications, to find the evidence-based best doctor for that person, and also set an appointment for the person, and also handle their prior auth and pre-cert and everything behind the scenes.
It's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing because then the person's rest assured that they're going to a doctor that's covered,
right?
It's high quality, the outcome's going to be better, and guess what? For the employer, they win. It's ROI because there's actually less expense for the higher quality doctor.
Right.
It's a scary thing every day to think that in this business, an advisor should not be reticent or shouldn't just be complacent. They need to know that the very plans that they're writing and employers, in regards to the very plans that they're putting for their employees, can be dangerous because employees are not navigated properly. So that's what I'm excited to see Zoe do.
August 1st is around the corner, right?
It's coming fast.
So we're going to see it coming up to live, and we're super excited about that. Moving to our last section of this interview, it's rapid fire questions.
Perfect.
I'm going to ask you 7 questions. You need to answer them in 5 words or less.
Perfect.
All right. If I ask your coworkers, what's your superpower?
I would say the perception that I maybe am on email too much.
Plan complexity or simplicity? What wins more loyalty?
Simplicity with complexity behind it.
All right, that's a good one, actually. Worst benefit plan mistake you've seen recently?
Moving too fast and not doing a proper education with employees.
One benefits trend you are watching closely?
Direct primary care.
Favorite way to unplug outside of work?
Some may see from my LinkedIn profile, and I'd love to have people connect. I'm a very large baseball card aficionado.
What's one word clients use to describe you?
Professional.
Okay, last work win that made you proud.
Solving for people who are chronically ill. It's not about us. It's not about me or our advisors. It's about when you have somebody who's struggling, and particularly cancer, because we don't have a cure for cancer, right? Nobody has a cure for that, although maybe someday it'll be invented.
Right.
But when you have stories like a gal who's kind of Midwest, and one of our clients who had 2 cancers, liver cancer and breast cancer, and you go through a process where you put somebody in a plan that is focused on quality, and you find out that the very oncologist that they're seeing is misdiagnosing them with the wrong cancer, and you think to yourself, okay, the outcome is now better for this person because their cancer has decreased by 80%, and it allowed this individual to be able to treat the other cancer they had, remove distant breast cancer, so she had a cyst that was kind of distant, and now she's in remission. She has her hair back. She's able to participate as a human being, as a mother with her children, and she'll be a forever friend. The oncologist that she now sees gave her the right medications and the right types of treatment for her liver cancer that's helping her in being life-sustaining. But to think that had we not had the opportunity to meet her, maybe she would have passed away, but her lifestyle would have been severely compromised had we not intervened and educated on the quality of doctors within a PPO network. So that is the most gratifying part of what we do.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
That's
right.
That's
why we're here.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Here.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, and you are more than welcome to throw in the comments any more questions that you might have for Dan. He's going to be tagged on this episode, so he will be active in the comments. If you have any further questions about Healthee, about Venture, about this partnership, about how we can improve healthcare with AI, just put them in the comments, and see you next episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you.